Hello and welcome to the program. I am Mary Kanu. Now, after two separate adjournments, the Supreme Court has extended the validity of the old naira notes till December 31st, 2023. That's the last day in the year 2023. A seven-member panel of the court, led by John Okoro, unanimously directed that the CBN must continue with the old notes from Nigerians. The court held that the directive of President Muhammadu Buhari for the redesign of the new notes and withdrawal of the old notes without due consultation is invalid. The judgment comes 3 weeks after President Buhari declared that the old 500 and 1,000 naira notes have ceased to be legal tenders in the country. Now, unmoved by the court's order, President Buhari on February 16 ordered the CBN to allow only the old 200 naira notes and redesigned 200, 500 and 1,000 naira notes to coexist. On this, the court pointed out that the president's disobedience of the February 8 order is a sign of dictatorship. The apex court further held that the president in his broadcast admitted that the policy is flawed with a lot of challenges. On Wednesday, March 2nd, President Buhari apologized to Nigerians over the naira redesign policy, saying that it was not introduced hardship. According to him, the policy was meant to boost the economy. Now, to give more legal insight into this case is the chairman of the Nigerian Bar Association section on public interest and development law, NBA Spidal Monday Obani. Thank you very much for joining us. Now, many thought this case would be adjourned again, but here we are. So I must ask you, if the Supreme Court's order, do you think the Supreme Court's order negates that of President Buhari, that only the 200 naira notes will coexist with the new notes till April 1st?
Yes, thank you for having me. What has happened today with the pronouncement of the Supreme Court is that the Supreme Court upheld their earlier order, the interim order they made, I think sometime in February, where they allowed the old 500 naira note, 1,000 and 200 to be in circulation. Now, I also have from what I've just read from the page, that it was obvious maybe the Supreme Court did not want to hear side of the federal government in contempt of the judgment interim order of the Supreme Court. And because I didn't hear that the Supreme Court decided whether issue of jurisdiction for which primary objection was raised by the federal government was decided. But the Supreme Court has now gone ahead to make very far-reaching pronouncement, which I consider very act of boldness on the part of the Supreme Court for them to say, look, we are practicing democracy. When a matter is before the judiciary, it is very improper for any other arms of government to interfere or intervene or to negate or make any pronouncement that would seem to invalidate what the court is doing. And so for the interference of the president, the court frowned at it, and you see the pronouncement that was made by the Supreme Court concerning that interference. So to me, this is an act of both. We are practicing democracy for God's sake, and we're not under the military dictatorship. So it is clearly wrong for the president to intervene the way he did by trying to ensure that he stopped the opposition of the court in the pronouncement that the court has made. So the court has put that particular invalid order in proper pronouncement that was made today.
Given ruling, the Supreme Court, condemned the president for refusing to comply with the order of the court. Now, do you believe that President Muhammadu Buhari is guilty of autocracy, like the court said?
Yes, for the president to have intervened in the manner he did, when the matter was already before the court for resolution, was clearly a sign of dictatorship. As I said earlier in the first pronouncement that I made after that announcement, but the president was behaving as if under the military. The matter has been subjected to the court, submitted to the court for resolution. So what the president should have done, should have allowed the court to make a pronouncement concerning that issue rather than the way he intervened. And that intervention was clearly contrary to what no other arms of government should do when a matter has been submitted for resolution. And so it's clearly a sign of autocracy. And I'm very happy that the court has actually put the president where he's supposed to be, in the position that he ought to obey the rule of law. He ought to obey the judgment of the court. He ought to respect institutions. The moment we make nonsense of our institutions, we cannot be regarded as a developing nation. So I am very happy with the boldness that has been expressed by the court this afternoon concerning some of these excesses and impunity we receive most time from those who are occupying position in government.
Now, as a legal expert, from the court's ruling, are Nigerians now free to spend the old naira notes? Now, this is important to note because there seems to be a clash between the president and the apex court. So, are Nigerians free to spend the old naira notes? Are the old notes still tender?
As I speak to you now, as the pronouncement of the Supreme Court was made today, the old note of 500 naira, 1,000 naira remains a legal tender. Remember that the new government is coming in place on 1st of June. Is it 1st of June or
29th
of
May?
Okay, 29th of May. And I'm sure any government that comes in on that day will not in any way want to disobey what the Supreme Court has said. So even if you say you will not accept the 29th of May, I can assure you that on 29th of May, this money, 500 and 1,000, will be spent. And I'm happy to show you that I've been carrying this up 30,000 naira in my bag because I thought it was a useless sort of money. I didn't even want to spend it. Now, I'm so happy that the Supreme Court has made a pronouncement and said that the 30,000 I'm carrying is a legal tender. So even if it's not being spent between now and the 9th of May, I am very sure by 29th of May I will spend this money. But I just told my lawyers that I have so much money. They said, give me some. So they are interested even into collecting this money from me now because it has been made a legal tender once again by the Supreme Court.
Well, that's a huge load of cash you have right there, Mr. Ubani. But, at the initial stage, of the implementation, of the naira redesign policy, President Buhari said, the motive was to prevent vote buying during the presidential election, which, held on the 25th of February. Now, on March 2nd, the president also said, the policy was meant to boost the economy. But what do you make of the president's opposing reasons?
The reason that were advanced by the president is that all is working against all those reasons he gave. I went to bank today. And I met my bank manager. I said, can I have just 20,000 naira? And he told me there is no money. The one they collected yesterday, they have finished spending and they have not gotten any fresh notes from their head. And as I speak to you, apart from these old currencies I'm carrying about, I don't have new currencies in my pocket. And I can't even boast of 5,000 naira. I can't buy anything. There are many things you cannot buy, by transfer or by POS. Now you are making everyone to be cashless in the society. You are making those who depend on daily income not to be selling. I asked when I came to office, to my girl, in the office, can you get me roasted plantain? They went around all over the place. They could not see where roasted plantain is being sold. Why? Because they know there is no one carrying cash. So those of them who are selling roasted plantain did not come to the market today. So you are killing the economy. People no longer do business. Those who depend on daily income cannot in any way do business. So you are destroying the economy. Telling me you are trying to rephrase. I don't understand this issue of trying to re-engineer the economy in the manner that you don't have little cash to do some of the businesses you do. Because there are those that cannot accept any transfer. There are those who do not have POS mechanism to accept your payment. So it is killing Nigeria's economy and all that. So it's not something that I can sit down here and comment that it has worked the way the government may have planned. I think that what they have done is that they plan one way, then when it comes to implementation of it, it failed woefully. Now, the naira daily. As I speak to you, nobody can even access up to 2,000 or 3,000 naira in the bank. So what kind of system is that? Why will you have so much money in the system, then you cannot access your money? So I think it's a wrong implementation policy. It may have been good, with good intention, but the point is that implementation is very poor. And we're saying we cannot continue to be a cashless society in such a manner. And I tell you, the banks are having problems with the number of customers that want to transfer money in their system because their system was not built to accommodate the traffic they are experiencing presently. That's why you see the kind of network failures we're having in the banking machine system and all that. So I think that the government has failed in implementing the policy properly. That is the issue.
So you're not totally against the naira redesign policy. What you're saying is that poor implementation or planning is what we are seeing right now.
It may pan out that in the end, in the long-term effect, the policy may bring some level of sanity in the quality of our currency. Because there are those that give 200 naira now, and they are very happy that I give them. But before, you can't give any person 500 naira and you appreciate it. 500 naira. But now you can give 200, you can give 500, and somebody will be very happy. So maybe the quality of naira is being restored. But the point is, the implementation is very poor. It's a good policy in the maybe in the long run, but the poor implementation, the time way that the government went about it and all that, without thinking the consequences out very properly, is what is actually made the entire thing to look as if it's a failure.
Well, Chairman of the Nigerian Bar Association Section on Public Interest and Development Law, NBA Spidal, Monday Ubani, thank you very much for joining me on the program, for your contribution and your insight.
Thank you for having me always.
We'll take a break now and be right back. Welcome back. As controversy, cancellation of the results, collation of the votes, maintain that INEC arrogantly sidestepped and bypassed its own rules, guidelines and principles by refusing to upload collated results. Obi says he won the election and that he will head to court to prove it. Both the People's Democratic Party and New Nigeria People's Party have also indicated they will seek to challenge the results of his political affairs analyst Achike Chude. Thank you very much for joining me on the program. Now, what would you say the ruling All Progressives Congress? We've seen the outcome of the elections. So what would you say INEC did differently to emerge victorious?
You talk about what APC did differently to emerge victorious. And so you cannot be, right, for me as an observer, you cannot be talking about what APC did differently to emerge victorious, because that presupposes that what some of us saw on the field is not exactly true. A lot of Nigerians were disenfranchised. People were being intimidated in many parts of the APC or EDP or LP or NNPP or NNPP or any other political party, because that would presuppose that they got some things right, and that is why they emerged victorious. That victory is there when the beavers that is supposed to have work and they.
Well, against what you've said, some people are rejoicing, while other people, international observers, they said INEC lacks transparency, but, the Labour Party and the PDP have said they would seek legal action. So what are the chances? What would you say are the chances of these parties in court?
Look, when you say, well, some people are rejoicing, I don't see anybody rejoicing except a close-knit circle of people close to the announced winner of the election, his close friends and allies, and perhaps members of the political party of the APC. Look, this is in a very long while in terms of the reaction itself. From 1999 till date, whenever anybody has emerged president, there is some level of public jubilation. I have not seen that in any part of the country. And so it's that's why I say it's a strange kind of election, it's a controversial kind of election, and it's a subdued kind of victory, because I think that there's a general belief that all did not go well, and the lack of celebration, I think, gives impetus to that suggestion as to what is going to happen at the court. Well, I'm not a lawyer. Even if I were a lawyer, I cannot exactly tell you what is going to happen. I think it's about the evidence that is procured and that is presented before the courts. But again, what courts are we talking about? Look, over the years, Nigerians have lost a lot of respect for the courts. And then there was in the nation's judiciary system that had a lot of people have still had some modicum of respect for. Even the great Gani Fawemi, while dismissing the credibility of the lower courts, he said that at the apex court there is still some level of discipline and honesty and sincerity. But that is a Supreme Court of about maybe 15 years. Now, a lot of people have the impression that it's all about money. It's all about corruption of the judicial system. And it's unfortunate that we have to settle political issues that should be settled at the polling units, that we're settling them, trying to settle them every day at the courts. Some of these cases should be taken away from the courts, and so that we can reduce the corruption, that we have gotten the courts involved in. I don't know whether the court, the Supreme Court, will do justice, because it's not just the political party, whether LP, NNPP or PDP, that are looking for justice, but Nigerians are looking for justice, because Nigerians came out in their numbers full of hope and expectation for this election, and then their hopes were dashed. All the young people that participated in this election also left the polling units absolutely disappointed. He, so I'm not exactly very sure that really capable of doing justice, especially when it comes to political matters such as this. So it's the air of disillusionment that has enveloped our country, and it is sad that this is the kind of feeling we're having about the judicial system. Look, the politicians knew what they were doing. They knew that all they needed to do is just pull out all the works, completely, sabotage this election, compromise it in every way imaginable and unimaginable. And then by the time it is announced, then people begin to shout, you just say go to court. And then before you get to the court, they are already there with their monies and everything. So this is part of the dilemma really. But I think what has happened is a disgrace and an embarrassment to this country. But if there's any good Nigerian that perhaps might rejoice in the way, the shoddy manner this election has gone, it is the former chairman of INEC, Morrissey, who's that he is said to have organized the worst election in the history of this country. But right now, he has somebody that has surpassed him in terms of the very terrible organization, electoral organization.
When you say sabotage, many will say it's just a conspiracy theory. But let's talk about INEC. The electoral body has apologized for what he called technical glitches, and he said that any discrepancies between and physical results would be investigated and resolved. Which begs the question: do you think INEC was prepared for this election?
They told us they were prepared. First of all, let me just say that I don't think I use the word sabotage, but that is the thinking of a lot of people. And it makes a lot of sense. It is just convenient that at the moment that the beavers worked well, worked in terms of accreditation, worked well in terms of voting. And then when it came to important jobs that is supposed to do to upload the result, conveniently it broke down. That is very difficult for anybody, to accept. And I think what was the other question you asked?
Well, if I asked them if INEC was prepared to hold this election.
Yeah. Well, again, I think a lot of us feel very bitter, and upset about, the way this election really felt. We actually felt in a naivety that this election was going to be one of the best elections in this country. Why? The president of Nigeria had told us that he told United Nations General, when he was on the floor of the United Nations General Assembly, he said he was going to do his best to organize a very good election for Nigeria. When he was talking to his peers at ECOWAS, he also made the same promise that he would organize a very good election, will be organized under his administration. And then beyond that, we heard several times about how ready INEC was by the chairman of INEC himself. At every particular point in time that he spoke to Nigerians, he talked about the readiness of INEC to organize this election. So this is a betrayal. This is a disappointment. To realize that they were not ready. And that's one area where you might think perhaps it was sabotage. How can, in many places in this country, ad hoc staff got to the polling units around 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening, long after the polls had ended? If this is not, deliberate, I don't know what else is, because the issue of logistics is even, much easier. You had so much voter enthusiasm. How many people were turned back as a result of INEC's inefficiency? At the polling units, in them not being able to deploy, their staff. So perhaps maybe another 10 million, people were 50 billion naira, telling us that they were ready, only to get to the election of organization Of course, people Nigeria has become the laughing stock of people all over the world. You go on social media and Twitter, you see people from different nationalities all over the world expressing great disappointment about Nigeria. Nigeria that is supposed to set an example in the African continent and not being able to do what Kenya did, what Ghana has been able to do. It is shameful. And so INEC told us that they were ready, and we took their word that they were ready. We fought for INEC. Don't forget that all the victories that INEC has had in the past, in terms of, a year before the election, all the monies that they need to conduct an election is released to them by the federal government. And what else again? I mean, what else? What else? Can anybody say? We fought also for them to get the Electoral Act signed into law, passed by the National Assembly and signed by the President, only for us to have this kind of preparation. And of course, beyond INEC, the security agents also had a role to play, and they failed largely. In a few, they were able to curb violence, but in many places in this country, violence was unabated, were intimidated, and voters suppressed as a result of the violent actions of non-state actors.
We have to leave it at that for now, but as analyst Achike Chude, thank you very much for your time.
Can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
President must see himself as the president of the Federal Republic.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
In this part of the world.
A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues so that you can understand it. Use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
TV360, dissecting the issues.
Our ability to participate in government, to elect our leaders, and to improve our lives is contingent upon our ability to cast the ballot. We know in our hearts of hearts that voting is a sacred right, the font from which all other right flows. Ndokwa decides. Ndokwa, as you get to the polls this weekend to exercise your franchise, remember where you are coming from. Remember the past and the treacherous condition you have been forced into by your leaders, who by all stretch of imagination has shown you a lack of representation. Amongst the politicians jostling for power, the ones whom you have donated your allegiance to in the past, and how they were unable to give you the kind of representation that you deserve. So you didn't see the actualization of the dividend of democracy, not a practical manifestation of good governance. This week, don't vote for these non-performing politicians. They will go there with the same attitude, same failure, and lack of creativity. We cannot continue to make these mistakes year in, year out. The only way we can put these folks behind us is to stop them at the polls. We must kill the mosquito that bites the slave, because we have no guarantee that if it sees the bottom of the king, it will not do the same. Ensure that you go through the beavers process. If anyone tells you to go vote without the beavers validation process, say no. If you do, your vote will not count. There will be overvoting in that polling unit, and the result therein will be cancelled. Do not allow people working for the opposition to lure actions that may invalidate your vote. Don't sell your vote at the polls. People will come around and offer you money as gratification to sell your vote for their candidates. Ignore them. Whoever sells or commercializes his franchise is breaking the law and will be prosecuted once caught doing so. The said person attracts soul, and the consequences and spiritual implications are far-reaching. Vote according to the dictates of your conscience. The polling unit is in your constituency and community belongs to you, and you should decide what happens there. Do not allow anyone or a group of persons to come there and disrupt what happens there. You must submit to orderliness and the rule of law as you assemble to exercise your civic responsibilities. Voting is a civil sacrament. Remember, don't vote for the enemies of Ndokwa. There are many of them on the ballot parading themselves as ignore them. Do not allow evil to gain control of the polls in Ndokwa land. Identify your choice carefully on the ballot paper. The name and the logo of the political party are there in alphabetical order. The names and passports of the candidates are not on the ballot papers. Remember, only the names of the political parties you will find. Ndokwa, ngwajeni kuno posao, umweza funa ofia, ejeru no, ishagware. I shall go to Rabbi again.
As technology continues to advance globally, Nigerian youths are ensuring that they take the center stage of the fast-paced world of innovative inventions. From creating impressive programs, products, Nigerian youths are daily enhancing the quality of life and entrepreneurship that has a huge impact across Africa and the globe. Hello and welcome to another episode of Startups with me, Abisola Adebayo. On the program today, we'll be talking to two of these geniuses that are using technology to enhance the country's development. In Oyo State, Southwest Nigeria, Olushola Ayola has established a Nigerians on robotics and artificial intelligence. And in Lagos, Onyeka Owika has created an application that helps save power consumption. How exactly are these guys able to do all of this? I'm just as curious as you are, but we'll be finding out in just a moment.
Is the first of its kind in Nigeria and perhaps in West Africa, because we receive applications from Egypt, Liberia, Ghana, and so on. We do training and certification in robotics and artificial intelligence, which is the future. And developed countries are already beginning to struggle to take a position there. So normally Africa or Nigeria should just wait for all of that to be developed first before we take interest. But REN is saying no to that. My name is Dr. Olushola Ayola. I'm the founder of Robotics and Artificial Intelligence Nigeria.
Artificial intelligence, AI, is the technology of making machines perform tasks considered possible only with human intelligence. This technology has ushered in tremendous opportunities, leading to leapfrog development and attainment of economic and prosperity across developed and developing nations of the world. However, in Nigeria, the giant of Africa, the pace of innovation and artificial intelligence adoption has been slow, mainly due to the lack of adequate knowledge about the technology. Having lived and schooled in the United Kingdom for years, helping the country with developing ground and underwater robots and artificial intelligence, Ayola decided to return to his skills. AI can improve the livelihood of Nigerians only if there can be enough Nigerian-based experts in the promising field. In 2019, he founded Robotics and Artificial Intelligence Nigeria (RAIN), a foremost training, research and innovation center focused on the creation and development of artificial intelligence.
In a robotics company that was helping the UK government to decommission their nuclear storage sites, I felt it was time to go and develop that skill in Nigeria for my people. Because many times when the UK needs to get a particular robot built, they do the design there, they send it to China. So China guys would actually build the standard. Unfortunately, whenever I tried to contact people in Nigeria, do you know how to use this? Do you know how to use that? They all say no, we were not taught, or we were not taught very well, or we don't remember it because we've not been practicing it. So I felt, let's have a new kind of system where we get projects to do, we get people to train, and we get research to do. So it's all become value of ideas. Here, a computer science graduate with 2-1 or anything will be limiting a number of people. Because you would agree with me that many people are very good when it comes to hands-on, but may not be good when it comes to echo or all those JAMB exams. And so, for us at RAIN, to get into RAIN to study, you need to be above 15.
He says the plan is to compete with standards from developed nations and produce the next generation of AI experts to contribute to the country's development.
It's been a series of eureka moments, like, wow, we did it in an institution to look like the normal African standard, Nigerian standard. You have to raise the bar. So we were not competing with anybody in Nigeria. We were competing with the standards I met in the UK, which were my vision for Nigeria. You know, a school that is homely, teachers apply. You have facilities, like you have the kind of ambience that makes you want to learn. You have projectors, you have all of those, all of those IT facilities that will encourage students to want to learn. We have all that. RAIN is actually taking care of unemployment in the future by providing the skill that the government or the people need. That's one. Secondly, RAIN is helping to attract foreign investment, because just by having a pool of talent in the area of AI, you're a leader, global leader. Now, when people look for AI solutions globally, they just go on Google and search artificial intelligence developers across the world, and RAIN puts Nigeria on the map.
Since establishment, RAIN has been experiencing a steady growth. Ayola says students in the tech field are eager to enroll and is also been receiving partnership proposals from the government, local and international bodies. Beyond this, the institution has been building and developing impressive artificial intelligence products.
It's been growth upon growth as we've been going. At first we were training only, and then later we started doing research for people, and now we're doing product development. So it's like we keep going higher. Of course, investors have been coming as well to say, can we buy this company off you? Can we take over? Can we expand it quickly enough? And I'm like, let's just all calm down. Let's see where we're heading, because I can't quantify the worth of the company until we get to a point where I can see everything from up there. We've had business deals, project deals with major companies. I can't mention their names now, but then about 3 major companies. One is on drone for parcel delivery, another one is on energy management, and another one is on waste management. Now, this is to say a few, because we have other engagements with government in some areas that we cannot talk about. But then, for us, it's a milestone because we started off as a training institution, and now we are moving into product development. And this is the curve that if we can continue in that trajectory, there is no way saying we've got to the end point yet. We haven't.
But these achievements did not come on a platter of gold. Ayola says setting up RAIN was not a win in the park, especially in a country where electricity is a luxury.
Money is never enough. You want to set up a world-class institution, meeting with people who spend billions and trillions to set up the same thing. So how do you set up the same thing with lower and lower budget? That was the biggest challenge for me. How do I make this place look expensive even though I'm not spending all of that money? Because I'm not the richest in Nigeria to be able to set up something like this. People walk in here and say, wow, $1 billion has been spent on it, even if I don't have that. And that was the first challenge. We did that. We did that very well. Then the second challenge is the power aspect. We run on 24 hours power. We can't do without power here. This is not a place where power will go off and we'll be like, let's just wait for NEPA to bring light. We must have constant, because we do 3D printings. And 3D printings, you dare not wait for any second, otherwise you might lose the entire quality. So we do a lot of work, we do a lot of research, interfaces, meetings and all of that, and we need power. So the challenge there has been, how do we maintain steady power? The concept of generator, solar and on board, they can't meet our needs. We just need constant power from the government. But that's going to be a thing of the past now, because we are working on a project with a UK company on developing homegrown power solutions. And it's going to be a very large project. So one of the big power engines will be domiciled here at RAIN for demonstration and all of that.
Ismaila Surajo is one of the student trainees at RAIN. Surajo used to be a self-taught technician in his little village of Rubochi in Kuje Area Council of the Federal Capital Territory, where he's been inventing locally made tractors. Surajo got a scholarship to study at RAIN in 2020 after inventing a local water provider in his village. In less than 2 years, the 23-year-old is now developing smart water meter.
I've learned how to program using my system. When I was in school, I can build a car, I'll be the one to control it. But now I can use my system to control it. A smart water control device. Once you put your card, it on the water for you. You can subscribe on my own water device. I have other projects I'm going to work on.
It's been sponsored by one of the people in government, because he was given an award in November 2020, and now he's developing solutions that will benefit his community directly. He's building a smart water meter that people in the locality can just slot in their card, their smart card, and water is dispensed in their bucket. So that way, what he's trying to do is to encourage lawmakers or people in government to donate boreholes to communities, because the people will not take it for free. They will pay a token using that smart water meter, and by using that token, money for maintaining that facility, that water infrastructure is provided.
Ayola has indeed paid his dues in starting up RAIN. His vision is to make an impactful change in Nigeria's development pace and education sector by imparting his knowledge and skills of artificial intelligence. And the company's milestone so far shows he's right on track.
Give RAIN about 5 years less, and you'll be surprised that many things we look for outside would be produced in-house. And it's not going to be RAIN only, it's going to be offshoots of RAIN, people that RAIN produced, and they are the ones that would begin to solve these problems. So if you look at 10 years from now, you'll see big entrepreneurs saying, I decided to set up this business after my training at RAIN, and I figured out that this was a major business need for the country. And of course, there you go. So we are really helping the country to prepare for the future now. The structure we've set up, fine, AI and robotics is not new. In the world has set that up, where you do training and certification, where you do research and projects, not for your company. For example, Toyota, they have the Toyota Research Institute, where they do research in AI and robotics for their company only. But we are now setting up something that does AI and robotics research and product development for anybody. So what that means is that we are taking this to people's homes. So in the future, RAIN may be not a Nigerian-based company any longer, but a global body, competing with the likes of SpaceX and so on. Because we have all of that model embedded in what we are doing.
The technological advancement hinged on its ability to invent and innovate, as these are the cardinal bedrock upon which development is built and sustained. With Rain's drive to nurture and train the next generation of AI experts in Nigeria, one can say the country is well on its way to achieving sustainable development. I'm actually excited for the country. I mean, potentials of these experts that Rain will be churning out. Anyways, this next innovator will blow your mind. With his invention, you wouldn't even need to lift a finger, use your power consumption, and control a lot of home appliances.
Okay, at Ving Global Technologies, we create solutions for human with our full home and office autonomy. We do that with our OVO products and our OVO Smart app, where we make life easy for everyone. They can have total control of their home, their offices, without emission. Using our OVO Smart app, they can control everything in their home and save the cost of their electricity bills. They can know who comes into their home at every given point. They can turn off the electrical appliances and every of the appliances at anywhere they are in the world. Computer, turn on bedroom lights.
Okay. Who would have ever thought that in decades to come in Nigeria, words of mouth will be able to control gadgets with from carrying out big tasks to attending to menial errands, engineers across the world are leveraging technology to make life easier for people. One of such innovative engineers is Onyeka Owuka, a 32-year-old graduate from the National Metallurgical Training Institute in Anambra, Southeast Nigeria. Bothered by the high energy consumption plaguing his country, Onyeka decided to establish Ving Global Technologies, an engineering technology outfit, under which he developed a comfortable solution to help people control their home and electrical appliances from anywhere in the world through an automatic systemic app. He calls it the OVO Smart application.
It has been a very long time. I started developing this app. And the reason why I started developing it was I've seen people leaving their home on. They left their home appliances on and went out and then came back and started complaining about their electricity bills being piling up, forgetting that once it's turned off, your electricity bills won't be reading. So I started looking for people do all that. I've seen people turn on their gas on and leave it. Then they forget to turn it off. They might be carried away seeing a movie, or they might be carried away watching social media. So I started looking for a way to help people do all that without human intervention. I started looking for a way to help people turn off their appliances off, turn off their gas. Then that was what led me to create the OVO Smart app. Let's say if you want to control the light, you buy our OVO switch lights. When you buy it, you don't need to change your bulbs, just the controller. So you buy the light and then remove it to break your walls. All you need to do is to change the fittings. If you already have the old fittings, the manual fitting, you just change the fittings and then use our fitting. So once you use our fitting, you sync it with the OvoSmart app, and then from there you can control your lights. If you want to control your gas, we have our gas controller that you can use in your gas cylinder. Then if you want to control your TV, you use our IR, our Ovo IR controller to control your TV. You can use it to control your AC. You can use our Ovo water heater switch to control your water heater. You can also use our gate controller to open your gates and close your gates. Within Global Technologies, we make sure your security is intact. Within Global Technologies, we make sure that your electricity bills is being slid down to 60%. Global Technologies will make sure your comfort is what you need. It will make sure that you have comfort, total comfort. We'll make sure you have that easy lifestyle.
By connecting their devices to the OvoSmart app and the internet, users can control them all without moving an inch. All they need is a voice command, smartphone, or fingerprints. Onyeka says the OvoSmart app is connected to all the Ovo products designed by his team. The customers then connect the product to the appliances. When the customer then orders the app to do a task, it gets notification once the task is completed.
What our OvoSmart app does is whenever it does any command being said by you, it will notify you that it has done it. So let's say someone comes to your home and you unlock remotely. Once the person gains access, it will notify you on your phone that the person has already gained access. So you can see the person with your Ovo camera and you can have a conversation with the person, and once you turn off your gas as well, it will notify you that your gas is being turned off. So it doesn't just turn it off and leave you blindly. So once the command you set, it will notify you immediately that it has done this for you. Even hotel owners, they use our sensors. Once you have a guest and the person check in, you can see it will notify you that a guest just checked in your room. So it will notify you as a hotel owner. You don't need to be in the hotel to ask your management what rooms we are fully occupied. Is my rooms fully booked? So from your OvoSmart app, you get notification. You get notified that your rooms, if it's fully booked, you will get the notification. If 20 rooms we are booked, you get notification. So all those things, you get notification from anywhere you are in the world.
Onyeka launched the OvoSmart app in 2020. Working in a country where electricity is not stable, he says achieving this feat was not a walk in the park.
You know, developing an app, you have to do the graphics, you have to write the codes. So in my team, I have a graphic designer that designs the graphic that I need to do. The commands, I wrote the commands on my own. So the challenges I was facing that time was I need to always stay strong. The challenges I was facing was the power issue, because I have to test my app with a generator, test it. I'll have to wait for the lights to come so that I will test it. So those were the challenges I was having at the moment while developing the app. But after all said and done, it came out a success. I'm trying to set up the internet to be able to run the program using a minimal internet to charge in kilobytes and not in megabytes. So with 1,000 naira subscription, all your appliances will be running. And we also try to make it work with every internet providers, like MTN, Airtel, Etisalat, every internet providers. We also try to make it work with all that.
Since the launch of the application, Onyeka says he and his team continues to work to improve on the application and use more features to make life easier for customers.
We have our competitors, and that is why we are working hard every day to make sure we give in the best quality. When we started our app, there was no virtual assistant. What I mean by virtual assistant is using your voice to control everything. You know, it's not every time you go to the app and start scrolling, looking for the light that is on and off. So because as each day goes in, we keep on pushing. And now you can sync our Ovo Smart app with your Siri, with your Google Assistant, with your Alexas. So we keep on bringing the best every day. That is why we work hard to make sure we are at the face of everyone.
Since the Ovo Smart app broke into the market, Vin Global Technologies have continued to record acceleration, and even though the tech firm is yet to get a major investor, it now has over 20,000 customers across Africa.
At first when we brought it out on social media, few people came to patronize us. They saw that it was good and they started spreading the news. They started spreading everything, letting people know that we are using this thing. Like our smart locks, there are people have been used 2 years plus without no issues. So you don't need electricity to run the smart app. It uses a finger battery. So after 1 year, all you have to do is to change your finger battery. So people started advertising for us, people we don't even know. They started advertising our product for us because they've used it and it's working. So we started, we have influencers to do all that as well. And when the influencers does that, people use our product and see that it's of good quality because we chose quality over quantity. So people saw that our products were of good quality, and then that was how the marketing level started. We started moving from places to places, going to real estate developers, showing them what we have, and from that we keep on expanding. Right now we don't have investors at the moment, but we have up to 23,000 plus customers. We have a lot of customers that are patronizing us already, and we have more coming each day. We have customers coming from South Africa, from Ghana, from Cameroon, from Sierra Leone, from Nigeria. We have people buying our product from all these African countries. We have investors at the moment, but our product is going because it's of good quality, and all our products are 2 years warranty.
Onyeka says the future projection is for his innovation to break into the international market and in extension save Nigerians from bogus electricity consumption, which makes them pay more.
In the next 4 or 5 years, I want our company, Vin Global Technologies, to be talk of the world. I want us to be the #1 in automation system and all that. I'm making sure that every home, offices and facility have our products all over the world.
At a time when authorities in the country continues to seek a lasting solution to energy consumption and increased electricity tariff, Onyeka's innovation, if expanded, might be the end of the tunnel. I'm actually impressed by the good work these guys are doing to improve technology in Nigeria. Anyways, this is where we'll be signing out on the program today. Until I come your way next time, I am Abisola Adebayo. Bye.
Thank you for coming, sir.
Yes.
I was expecting the noise.
Noise?
The siren and everything.
Can't I have a break even for a few hours from this sirens as well?
Now I see why you want to come back here now.
Yes. You can see this place is more friendly, isn't it, than Abuja?
How much do you miss it when you're not here?
Well, very much so. That's why when I come, I keep my eyes very wide open, as if it was the first time I'm coming. This fruits bearing trees are growing very fast. Yes.
So you're counting the days now?
Counting the days, not even the months.
What amazes me is that if you know him now, to me is a Buhari I knew, 1953. He's a good listener. He will accommodate you, listen to you, and he will never fight back.
If you are not hardworking, if you are not honest, if you are not dedicated to your duty, don't come near Mr. President Buhari. He has a very long face, but you have to catch up. He looks after the welfare of his staff, especially his close aides. He makes sure everything is well or is fine at home front because he asks questions. That's how is everything going on? And whenever there's anything, he takes your problem as his own problem.
The ordinary people are his friends. And then Kaduna, you come and see them in his sitting room, but they are on his dining table, eating with him.
There wasn't any day you go to Sultan Road #1 that you will not see people queuing, and that he will not attend to you.
When he goes to his farm, the only thing you will know that he is not with them is because of his white dress and height. He mingles with them. When we enter the normal place where other people are and join the queue from where we find it. We don't overstay our queue. And normally, during Christmas or Salah, the father buys a dress for his children. And from 1996, when I started working with him, up to this year, dress. Every Salah. So along with his children. So I'll have my own children, my own Salah dress.
When my mom passed away, we were going to hold a commendation service for my mother in Lagos, and I just sent her some cards. I sent one to his house in Kaduna. Lo and behold, on the day an SUV just drove into the premises of the hall, and I went to welcome him. The door, and I saw him. I was shocked. I said, "You could make it." He laughed, and he stayed with us throughout that service, a Christian service. A man they used to call a Muslim bigot. He stayed throughout that Christian service. It was one of the things that convinced me that the man was not who people were saying he was.
I first met him in 2007. We were trying to meet pastors who could also, and not only pray along with them, but who could identify with him to remove the toga of Islamic fundamentalism, which he has been labeled with for too long a time. I saw him as a forthright person, an incorruptible leader, and one who was ready to bring about discipline to our society.
He's a very self-effacing person, also very witty, and humorous when he's comfortable in the environment he is. He can be surprisingly shy when he's not comfortable, he's not accustomed to being around, and he can live in his own skin and say very little. But when he's comfortable, he can be a pot of good humor.
I got to know him from about 1976 when he was the Minister for Petroleum. And I was working in the presidency. You know, he has this expectation of people to take their responsibility seriously. He gives you an assignment, he expects you to carry it out.
Mr. President.
President Buhari, you walk into his office, see him reading, let's say, a memo. You not even notice you are there. He 100% on that memo until after he reaches the end of what he's reading. He does not even know somebody is there standing.
We first met January 1953. Buhari, as a child, was quiet, humble, and reserved.
There's one thing I also learned, that you lost your father very early. How was that going?
Yes, well, it was a difficult time. I didn't know my father, so I was an orphan, which means I didn't enjoy the protection of a father. I didn't know my father. And I went into a boarding school for 9 years. 3 of the primary school and 6 secondary school. Yes, I miss my parents, but I was lucky.
His father passed away when he was 4 years old. His father had 3 wives. Muhammad was the youngest of 23. He had sort of surrogate fathers throughout his career, including within the military and including within the school system.
He was brought up by his senior brother, who was a teacher. He is one of our teachers. So he had a good home training under the care of his senior brother.
President Buhari is my uncle. I'm his nephew. My name is Muhammadu. His mother, Hajia Zulaihat Musa, is my grandmother. Her first child was my father. Her last child was Muhammadu Buhari. My father was his guardian, but it was tough for him, but tough for us also. Life was very tough in those days. You went to school in the morning, you came back and you got firewood for the night reading. We had no lamps in those days. We used firewood to light, and we had slates, which we wrote chapters of the Quran and read. And so you have one chapter, you read it during the session, and then tomorrow morning you wash it, and another chapter or a piece there is written, and you learn it by heart.
So when I was away from home, I think I was constrained to behave myself because there was nobody to rescue me. So I was behaving myself. As I said, I became a a class monitor. I became a junior prefect. I became senior prefect. I became a head boy.
You know, boys, you will transgress on occasions. You will be late for school, refuse to attend lessons sometime, go out to play, and that will be severely punished. Whoever did that will be punished. And the teachers were, I wouldn't say harsh, but they were disciplined. They taught us discipline. If you transgress, they lash you.
There was discipline in schools then. There's corporal punishment. And I think, to a certain extent, it molded the minds of the children and so on and so forth.
Our generation was very lucky. Our teachers were absolutely committed and dedicated. And they treated us like their own children. If you do well, you are praised. You are brought before the classroom, your work was shown and you are praised. If you don't perform, you are again brought before the classroom, stripped and flogged on the buttocks. And there is no way I can forget school, because what we call the teacher I see there, called Malam Abdul, is a very strict person. And he doesn't spare the rod. We call it bulala. Really. We don't like the rainy season approach the school farm. You wouldn't be late there, just like a classroom. And if you are late from 6 to 2, bulalas on your buttocks. And you have to remove your shorts so that you get the message proper. Among the teachers, I could only again remember our teacher. No matter how hot it is, he comes in with a turban. And every week we are given to recite part of the Quran. Every week. And the only thing we can do is to avoid it is to report sick if we haven't recited the part given that week. So we report sick. Even if you report sick, then you are stopped from going to a breakfast break until you recite the verse you are given in the class.
I'm sure you didn't get too much Bilala because you are always like a leader in class.
You will be very surprised. I got a lot because I try to avoid going to the school farm. And if you miss it, you are not allowed to go on breakfast. So you will have no break until the school is closed. But what I do between the first whistle and the last one, I go over the wall of the school, rush to home, and sometimes I'm eating up to the time I go into the classroom. And no one could forget those days. Trying to be clever by half.
How did a boy from Daura end up in Liverpool, straight out of secondary school?
I was picked from here, and then the whole of the north, again, I was the only person picked to go to UK, recommended to go to UK, Elder Dempster. Elder Dempster line. Then were given some slots for children from each end, from the north, from the west, from the east then, and from Lagos. 4 of us were taken. And that's how I managed. You can see the system then. Here in Kaduna province, we are the junior part. In Daura here, but I was picked, from the whole of the north to go to UK for holidays. That was my first visit to the UK. And what struck me when we arrived at Liverpool, we went to the center of the Liverpool. Some of the cities in London, then there was a central roundabout in the town. From there, you can go to other places. And when we went down about break time, I saw people coming out. Everybody well dressed up, you know, just the way you are, but almost three-piece, healthy. And then I reflected a street back here in Katsina on my school days. When I'm going to the mosque on Fridays, blind men, cripples, leopards, people in rags, begging for what to eat. So I say, God, how can we understand? That impression is still there in me. You look at people coming out as if they made up the something. Underdevelopment is terrible. That's the only thing I can say.
He was interested in science at the time. He was thinking of becoming a doctor. You know, he was born in 1942, you know, sort of the end of colonial era in Nigeria. They didn't really have a medical school yet at ABU. It turned out not to be for him, although it was an interest. When he was finishing up secondary school, the Emir of Katsina, who was the neighboring Emir to Daura, was encouraging young men from the north with leadership potential to go into the officers' training.
The Emir of Katsina then, he sent Hassan. It was no longer a profession for the poor. My heart was a disadvantage to me. Then there were cadets, only in government colleges. Zaria, Kepi in the north, I don't know how many in the south. The provincial secondary school, which was my school, they were not given army cadets. But the Emir of Katsina wanted to make a case to late Sardona that he wanted a cadet school, a cadet in secondary school in the state. So the Sardona told the Prime Minister, and the Prime Minister told the Minister of Defense. And then Katsina had a cadet, and then a retired ex-World War II veteran from Katsina was made to be in charge of the training. Just because of my height or something, I was picked to be the sergeant. So from there, I was impressed by the military discipline and so on. So when I left, I just went straight to the army.
And he was very attracted with the idea of uniform, discipline, and extracurricular activities like night exercise and drills, very much. And he was eventually, plus he had a few friends like Shehu Eradua, may God have mercy on him, and Jega, Emir of Gondu, and Magoro. They were his classmates, and they all started, so that the hard instinct also had an influence in his decision to join the army. And he has never regretted it since.
It must have been something for him. I mean, he went into the army to be a soldier. Then there was a political crisis, the coup and the counter-coup, then the civil war.
This is where the value of fighting for country comes in, because at every point of military training, he was taught, you know, you fight for your country, you die for your country, and you do it with honor. And so the idea of splitting the country it just sent shockwaves through these people. Even though they knew some of these counterpart officers on the other side, they never saw it as Buhari never saw it as an Igbo thing, as an ethnic thing. He always saw it as the rebels and the attempt to split the country.
His battalion, the 2nd Battalion Nigerian Army, he was number 2 in the battalion. They were the first to fire shots. A battle in which they were advancing and the opponents, the rebels, shot at them, and the fellow on his right was killed, the fellow on his left was, but he was unscathed. It was dreadful, dreadful. I was so afraid reading the dispatches to see the casualties, and I always pored over the casualties to see if his name was involved.
The Biafran Civil War was one where you didn't know you were going to survive. They were hacking their way through, which was very different than the dry savanna in the north. And his men had to be sure to take health precautions, change their socks, not get fungus in their feet and things. So he was always concerned with the welfare of his men. I think even his critics would say this, that this was a young officer who took his leadership seriously.
And if I tell you that I walked across Nigeria from Benue State virtually up to the sea when we were fighting the Civil War, the 30 months of the Civil War, I was always in the front within the small arms range for the 30 months. I was never relieved. But when I was sent to India and the United States subsequently to do my training, people were saying, but when I was being sentenced to the front, nobody asked why didn't they bring me back to their headquarters where they have time to drink and dance. This is Nigeria.
There was a bloodless coup today in Nigeria, which is Black Africa's biggest and richest nation and the world's 8th largest oil producer. The overthrow of strongman Major...
Fellow Nigerians, events of the past few years have indicated that despite our great human and material resources...
So I heard you met the then Colin Buhari when he was governor of the Northeast.
Way back in the early 70s, or mid-70s, I was a young student, aged about 18, 19, and he was then governor of the Northeast. He was military governor of the Northeast, and I was a young student activist as the Secretary General of the Students' Union in the then Northeast College of Arts and Sciences. And when Murtala was killed, I led the delegation of students to protest the killing of Murtala, demanding that the coup plotters be brought to book and be tried. Well, he was quite a very serious looking, and my impression of him was that he was somebody that was destined for the future to become an effective leader in this country.
General Shehu Yaradua, may God bless him, may Allah have mercy on him, told me how Buhari was made Minister of Petroleum in Obasanjo's government. They set the group who were naming ministers and governors and so on, and they said honest and the most serious among the officers of the Nigerian army, the one with the most integrity, and they honed in on Buhari. So they appointed him Minister of Petroleum, and they all thought he would not get his hands dirty with oil money.
Fraud
indiscipline, corruption, squandermania, misuse and abuse of public office for self or group aggrandizement, which had assumed debilitating proportions in the last few years, will be dealt with ruthlessly, no matter who may be involved.
It wasn't easy in the sense that I noticed a lot of things were going wrong, personally. People were looking for office just to be materially endowed or empowered. I thought it was wrong. I think leadership is a sacrifice.
It was clear to the officers, including Buhari, that the junior officers were going to do something if they didn't. And the junior officers were taking their cue from next door in Ghana, where Jerry Rawlings had just taken over, a young flight lieutenant in the Air Force, and lined up and shot the previous senior military people who had been ruling the country. So the senior military people in Nigeria thought, we'd better stabilize this. We don't want another, Jerry Rawlings situation here.
Buhari was not terribly keen. He wasn't terribly keen about it, but there was nobody to lead the change of government, nobody with the credibility and the integrity to, to convince the country that necessary. It wasn't his choice.
We need to emphasize self-discipline and leadership by good example. Begin by drawing public attention to little but important everyday manifestations of indiscipline, such as
try to impose discipline on the country, so it would clash between military culture and the Nigerian grassroots culture, if I may say.
The night of the coup, you were with him, right?
I was in Lagos and we had dinner and then we talked until about 11 p.m. Then I went back to my digs. No idea, no inkling whatever, something was afoot. In the morning, one staff came and told me, look, there has been a change of government. Your uncle has been deposed. The coups in Nigeria have a history of being very violent and very bloody. So I pray to God that they don't kill him or injure him or something of that nature.
The people who know him well said he was aware, but the only way he could have prevented it was to execute 6 or 8 of the senior officers, and he wasn't willing to do this. I think he prevented a more serious situation, because when you start killing officers, who knows where it's going to lead. Now he's down in Benin. He is under house arrest. He's living in a cottage with guards. He figured that if Babangida wanted to kill him, he would be dead by now. So it was really a question of just marking time and using it to realize, well, this is the end of his military career, and it was possible for people to visit him, but only with the permission of General Babangida, who is now in charge.
He was detained for 3.5 years. I went to see him regularly every month in Akure and in Benin. Very restrictive, and it's very boring, and he didn't know what eventually the government would do with him, and he was only released on the death of his mother. But throughout, I think his spirit never for a moment broke, because so many people gave me messages to tell him to say, please write to Babangida and tell him, since he has taken over, let him go. He said, no, I'll never write to him. I'll never talk to him. His spirit never broke. throughout the 3.5 years.
Even though Jonathan Abacha was part of the military elite that toppled his government, out of patriotism, to save the government, he accepted to serve as the chairman against the advice of many of his close associations. He said, no, it is not about Abacha, it is not about toppling of the government, it is about the country. We need to save this country. We need the infrastructure has decayed. So he accepted the chairman, and quickly he assembled some professionals, largely young men, and we went into work.
If you go down even to our hospitals to check, we see, if you see linens, shielding the beds, besides the few procurements, you will see PTF inscribed. If you see the roads today and you go through from north to south, there hasn't been any corner you will go through without seeing the project of the PTF. If you see hospitals with equipments, basically even in the theaters today, you will see that you will have the little, inscription of the PTF.
Nearly every week, some delegation from different parts of Nigeria were coming to see us in Kaduna. So you have to come and take care of have to come and lead this government. We're drifting. We're going back to the 1983 period. And he resisted this for a long time until both political parties sent emissaries to tell him that if he wanted, they will give him the ticket to run for the presidency. He succumbed to the pressure.
On Thursday, 26th of April, 2002, we went to Daura, where he registered as a card-carrying member of the then APP, which is the second largest party after PDP at that time. I think it was 1,145,359. Yeah, that was his number in the APP.
I received a phone call, and they said I should help them look for a vice presidential candidate. That's Christians from the South. We couldn't make any headway to lay down. Until January 15 at 12 noon, I received a phone call from the general. He said, I prayed my own way, and I want you to pray. I would like you to be my running mate. My first response was, thanks, but no thanks, sir, because I'm heading a group, and I've given them my word that I will neither join partisan politics or seek an elective office. But even within, they've been positioning us for days. We are now saying, you must take this. Long story short, by the time I called, Pastor Adeboye called everyone, contacted this and that, the rest is history.
I think that Nigerians should take the advice of Dele Farotimi and not die in the wars of their politicians. Vote wisely, Nigeria. Ordinarily, I think that Nigerians should take the advice of Dele Farotimi and not die in the wars of their politicians. Vote wisely, Nigeria. Ordinarily, during elections, we ought not to be talking about ethnicity nor religion. The ethnicity of the president does not mean that he will do well. Rather, we ought to be talking about competence, capacity. We ought not to be talking of age, even if the people who show up to be elected to be president are people who are capable. But we know that in Nigerian elections, anything goes. Also, religion ought not to even be a part of our conversation. Religion should be personal. Nigeria is a secular state. But again, we are hypocrites in that the people who are going to steal public funds come to a meeting and they say, let us pray. They know right after they are going to steal, but they say, let us pray. So we pray at every public function, but we are not even a righteous nor holy people. Yes, let's leave it to God to judge. At the same time, let's leave religion out of our politics and vote who will develop Nigeria. So I will repeat myself, vote wisely, Nigeria. Today, I've come to talk about the elections. Please, if you see violence, rather than get involved, record it and report it on your Flag It app. Go to your polling unit early enough. Hold your water, your umbrella if you want. When you are given your ballot paper and you put your finger, preferably your index finger, in ink, please ensure that you're voting within the lines. When you're done, rather than fold your ballot paper like this in a way that it may smear another party logo, please fold like this. This way, it will go into the ballot box easily. And if it smears at all, it will still be along the party logo of the candidate that you're voting for. I pray that we vote wisely, and at the end of these elections, all Nigerians benefit. Do not fight. Do not argue with anyone. Do not wear party logo t-shirt or face cap or anything. Campaigns end 2 days before the elections. Let's do what is right for ourselves. And at the end, you and I will succeed in 2023. Do not forget to vote wisely in Nigeria.
Nominated as the chairman of Grantmanship by the college management in 2018. And what is grantmanship? Grantmanship is sourcing for grants for the development of the college. So our first outing, we want to create awareness among the staffs on what is grantmanship, and therefore invited 2 speakers. Professor Idachapa from Confident University and Dr. Dabasaki from Ford Foundation. Along the line, he told us that they don't give grants, and that they have specific area, and that is area of art. For years, you know, those in the art, in the School of Art, they have been dreaming of having something like this, but it is a matter of money. There's no money backing, nothing. So, but when he was now asking us, he talked to us about the policy, said, okay, we'll look into that. He said, okay, so if you are coming because they are interested in art, why don't we join it with an exhibition on sexual harassment? He said, oh, that's all right. He now told us that that one will not fetch us much. That, okay, the college, since inception of the college, 1947, we have Department of Art. Later, it metamorphoses into School of Art. Do we have a collection center for all the arts? We said no. He said, well, what if you have a mini museum? I said, okay, that's a great idea. And now asked us to go and write proposal. So we left that place. Oh, we rub mind, we write, we sent to him, did some correction, he sent it back to us. But along the line, we found out that we cannot do it alone because we are science-based. So we need somebody that is fast in art. And that was how Dr. Rimolade came in. And the 3 of us, we wrote the proposal, he helped us fine-tune it, and that was how we get the grant of $100,000 for this project. But like I said, it is not this project alone. So 3 projects. This is the major one. Then we have the exhibition and we have the policy. So on the 25th of November this year, that is when we launched the 3.
Initially, we were just looking at a program where we address sexual harassment in the college. But by extension, we were able to get a museum out of the whole project. And the museum was launched on the 25th of November 2020.
What I could start with is that we were dealing with an abandoned space, and we had to deal with a lot of forces of the elements, which obviously we've won this far. The fight continues, and our museum is in the basement space. The